Future Emile demanded I answer to his ex's name, then tried to use the will to force me back into it. Rehearsal dinners are supposed to smooth edges. Vivian, my future mother-in-law, used hers to sharpen them. She did it the first time while fixing a place card that already had my name on it. Ryan and Amanda, she said to the table, like reading a label. I didn't correct her. I thought nerves. I thought habit. 10 minutes later, she did it again, louder, while introducing me to a cousin I'd never met. This is Amanda, she smiled, eyes on me like a dare. The cousin blinked. Ryan went stiff beside me. I felt the old story elbow its way into our night and sit down where I was supposed to be. The third time came with a glass raised high. Vivian tapped the spoon, got the room, and called for a toast to family and second chances. Then she turned to me and said the wrong name with perfect diction. My hands went steady the way they do when something heavy has to be carried without dropping it. I didn't make a scene. I made a line. I stood, lifted my own glass, and asked everyone to join me for two things we get to keep no matter what: our real names and our new beginnings. I said my name, Claire, clear enough that the chandelier caught it. I thanked the room for showing up. I thanked Ryan for choosing a future that didn't need a ghost to feel full. I didn't look at Vivian. I didn't have to. The air felt different. The table heard it. Later, by the coat rack, she leaned in with a smile that didn't touch her eyes. You're very sure of yourself, she said. I told her I was sure of us, and sure that tonight would carry the right names home. She squeezed my arm like a steering wheel and said, we'll see. The kind of sentence people use when they think traditions mean control. That I walked out into cool night air with Ryan's hand in mine and the taste of metal behind my tongue. The rehearsal was done. The real part had just started. The text came at 11:42 p.m., long after the dishes were stacked and the laughter went flat. Vivian wrote, sorry if emotions ran high tonight. You know I care about tradition. No mention of my name. No Claire. Just the kind of apology that asks you to step over the mess so the rug still looks perfect. 2 minutes later, a family group chat pinged. An old thread Ryan had muted years ago. Vivian posted a photo of the dessert table and captioned it, so happy for Ryan and Amanda. Tomorrow will be flawless. Ants hearted it. A cousin added confetti. I watched my name get erased in real time and felt that small, cold click you feel when a door pretends to be opened. I put my phone down and did the slow work that keeps rooms honest. I typed a short message to Ryan and his sister Megan, who had watched the toast with a wince that felt like solidarity. Tomorrow, no comparisons. No past names. If someone slips, we correct once. Firm, kind out loud. Megan replied yes. Ryan wrote, I've got you. I believed him. I also knew Vivian thought repetition makes truth. Morning brought coffee. Light through the blinds. And an email from Vivian with a subject line that tried to sound warm. A few simple wedding notes. Inside was a list that didn't belong to a rehearsal. Please remove new family from vows. 2. Modern. No mention of found. Family in speeches, confusing. Skip. The unity ceremony. Amanda never wanted it. The last line landed like a doormat with someone else's initial. If we can align on these, I'm sure we can avoid any awkwardness. There it was, the trade. My name for her approval. Our words for her comfort. I read it twice, once with my jaw, once with my spine. Then I took a screenshot and sent it to Ryan without commentary. He called immediately. His voice had that gravel it gets when he's decided something and is just letting the words catch up. I'll handle it, he said. We're not changing our promises to fit a ghost. We agreed on a simple plan. He would reply to his mother. We would keep our vows as written. And everyone would hear my name at the top of the ceremony before anything else touched a microphone. Before he hung up, he told me something I needed, even if I already knew it. You don't have to earn a place that's already yours. I wrote it on a sticky note and stuck it to the mirror. Sometimes you need to see the sentence that stands between you and old habits. 18 noon. Megan forwarded a second thread I hadn't seen. Vivian texting a few cousins. We'll straighten Amanda out at brunch. She's sensitive. Megan added a single line. I'm standing with you today. The nerves in my chest reorganized themselves into resolve that I put on my dress. For the welcome brunch and tucked a small card into my clutch. 3 sentences I decided to say. If my name got bent again, I'm Claire. I love Ryan. We're writing a new story. Not a speech. A spell. Names are spells that make rooms behave. That I stepped into the hallway and felt the day tilt toward us or away from us. Either way, I was going to stand up straight. The welcome brunch lived in a sunroom that tried too hard. White chairs, citrus centerpieces, place cards with looping script that made everyone look related. Vivian moved through it like a maitre d' of tradition, tapping wrists, adjusting napkins that didn't need adjusting. She reached our table with a smile you could slice. "Ryan, and," she began, letting the pause dangle like bait that I didn't wait to be misnamed a fourth time. I stood before the pause could pick a direction, lifted my glass, and used the 3 sentences I'd tucked in my clutch like a lighthouse. "I'm Claire. I love Ryan. We're writing a new story." It wasn't loud. It was clear. The sound carried to the corners the way truths do when you place them on something steady. A few heads turned. Megan grinned into her coffee. Ryan squeezed my hand under the table and said my name back to me in a voice that didn't ask permission. "Claire." Vivian laughed the light. Practiced laugh of someone filing a grievance with God. "Oh, you know me," she said to the table. "Names or habits?" She looked at me. "I'll get there." "Thank you," I said. "Let's start today." The sunroom shifted. Cousins who had watched the rehearsal with the squint people, where when they smell smoke now sat easier. The aunt who had hearted last night's wrong name post cleared her throat and asked me where I grew up. The cousin from the Midwest told me the citrus was plastic, and we both laughed at something that wasn't about ghosts. Halfway through eggs and polite weather talk, Vivian tried a joke, pointing to the Unity candles on a nearby display and saying, "We don't need those." Amanda never liked them. She did it soft, like a test balloon. I didn't let it float. "Claire," I said, same even tone. "And we like Unity just fine." The room didn't gasp. It aligned. People follow gravity. Gravity is the person who knows their name and isn't afraid to say "I teed up by dessert." Vivian had stopped trying to say the ex's name out loud. She pivoted to comparisons with no nouns. Some people kept things simpler. Some vows didn't need edits. But comparisons without nouns are just smoke. Ryan, to his credit, named the air as soon as we stepped outside. "That was 3-0, he said. He meant 3 corrections, 0 apologies. We laughed, because keeping score is only good when it tells you the shape of the game, that we got a reprieve until evening. Then the real message arrived. Not to me, but to Ryan, from an email account Vivian uses when she wants things to sound official. Estate update. She wrote that recent disrespect had forced hard decisions. She'd reviewed her will, reallocated certain provisions, and hoped to encourage wiser choices. She did not mention my name. She did mention the word inheritance. It sat in the middle of the paragraph like a lever. Ryan forwarded it to me with exactly 2 words. "I'll answer." My phone buzzed again. "Megan," she's testing him. "I'm here." I pictured Vivian at her laptop, composing love as a form letter with consequences, and felt a steadiness that doesn't come from winning. It comes from not moving. I printed the email, slid it into a fresh folder labeled Estate Talk, keep written, and wrote a note at the top in pen. "We do not bargain with names." I didn't need to see the will to know what she was trying to buy. Not the Unity candle. Not our vows. Just the right to make the past sit up at our table. She could change paper. So could we. Ryan didn't write a paragraph. He wrote a boundary. He replied to his mother's email with one clean line. "Inheritance is not a parenting tool. Our marriage is not a performance." He CC'd Megan and asked that all future estate messages be in writing. No heat. No please. Just rails. Within an hour, the side pressure started. An aunt texted the script people use when they want you to blink. "Think of your future children." A cousin added, "Family comes first." I answered none of them. Ryan forwarded the whole pile to the same thread with his original sentence at the top, like a sign on a door. "No entry without respect." The ceremony was at sunset in a small garden that smelled like rosemary and warm stone. We started with what mattered and what couldn't be edited. Our officiant invited the room to name us out loud, Claire and Ryan. Dozens of voices stitched it into the evening. The sound pinned the moment to something steadier than approval. Vivian sat in the front row with her hands folded like she was holding breakable news. When the vows reached the line she'd tried to cut, "new family," she closed her eyes as if that could mute it. It didn't. We said the words. The sky kept its color, and the universe did not break. The reception, she floated the room like a weather system. Calm at the edges, electric in the middle. She managed to smile for photos, then excused herself early to rest. 20 minutes later, Ryan's phone buzzed with a notification he didn't check until we were back in the quiet of the bridal suite. Shoes off. Rings still strange on our hands. The email was from a law firm Vivian sometimes uses to make suggestions sound like verdicts. Subject: Notice of estate revision. The body spoke in polite threats. Our client has executed a codicil reflecting changes to testamentary intent. Given recent events and continued disregard for family tradition, certain provisions previously designated to Mr. Ryan, last name, have been reallocated. Client reserves the right to further amend should disrespect continue. No mention of my name. Plenty of conditions for love. Ryan didn't pace. He took a photo of the email. Then he typed a reply that put the hinge back on the door. Received. We will not be discussing marriage through estate counsel. Kindly direct future personal correspondence to my email only. Legal matters can be addressed by my attorney. He CC'd a new contact. Mr. Alvarez, a mild-mannered estate lawyer he'd consulted when his grandmother died years ago. The CC wasn't a threat. It was a light switch. We put the phones face down. The room held. I pressed my palm to his and felt the heat of a day that had asked us to be steady 3 times before noon and once more after dessert. We were married. We were not managed on the nightstand. Under the flowers we'd paid for ourselves, I slid a blank card and wrote 3 sentences for tomorrow. Names are not negotiable. Love is not leverage. We keep everything in writing. If Vivian wanted to turn paper into a microphone, we would answer with paper that didn't raise its voice. Morning smelled like coffee and newly married air. But we took our vows to a conference room anyway. Mr. Alvarez read the estate email without blinking. He's the kind of lawyer who treats punctuation like guardrails. He explained what codicil and reallocated really mean. Paper can move money, not marriages. He drafted 2 things on the spot: a boundary letter, all future estate topics to counsel only, and contact rules, no third-party messages. No conditions attached to family invitations, everything in writing. Watching him write felt like watching a fence go up between our life and someone else's power tools that we left with copies, blue seals embossed, and the permission to stop debating feelings with memos. On the sidewalk, sun in our eyes, the phone buzzed with a quiet number I half recognized, the aunt who had smiled at brunch without picking a side. Her voice came soft and fast, like someone hurrying across ice. She said this wasn't new. She said she was tired of being in the splash zone. Then an attachment slid into our inbox, a screenshot from an old family group titled Game Plan. 6 women, Vivian included. The chat was a slow tutorial in control. Lines from months back, before I'd met half of them. Use Amanda's name. He retreats when he's embarrassed. Keep it accidental in groups so she won't correct. If she pushes back, mention the estate. He hates conflict about. Money. Plain as grocery lists. Timestamped. Forwarded. Save.I. Read it twice and felt the strange steadiness that comes when a hunch stands up and uses its legs. There was no misunderstanding, no nervous habit. It was practice that I didn't text Vivian. I didn't send a paragraph she could fold into a performance. We added the screenshot to a new folder, patterns, and sent it to Mr. Alvarez with a single line, for context. He replied with the legal version of a deep breath. Received. Boundaries stand. At home, we built a paper house around our real one. We set up an email filter labeled estate/counsel so we wouldn't see weaponized updates at dinner. We wrote a 1-paragraph family note together. Calm, unshakable. We won't negotiate names or vows. Invitations without conditions are welcome. All sensitive topics go to attorneys. Any messages about tradition that include consequences will be archived without reply. We CC'd ourselves, printed 2 copies, and slid them into the drawer with the takeout menus. Protection lives next to ordinary life on purpose. By afternoon, Megan came over with hydrangeas and a face that knew too much. She'd seen the same group chat weeks ago and thought it was venting. Now it read like a recipe. We sat at the kitchen table and did what people do when they're done being nudged into someone else's story. We made a plan without adjectives. Names in the ceremony program stay as they were. Thank you cards go out with Claire and Ryan. At the top in ink you can't lift. Family. Photos get labeled correctly and shared from our account only. No private. Calls with Vivian until she responds to the boundary letter in writing. At dusk. Another email from the law firm arrived. a sanitized summary of Vivian's intent to protect family values. Mr. Alvarez answered before I could feel my pulse. Counsel to counsel only. No estate talk is leverage. Any further disciplinary language will be treated as harassment. He CC'd us with the quiet reassurance of a lighthouse. Not loud. Always there. We sat on the couch, shoes off, rings still foreign, and let the day settle. My phone lit with a memory it didn't understand. Yesterday's brunch photo, a room that had tried to rename me. I renamed the photo in our album, Claire and Ryan, New Story. The software didn't argue. It just saved. On the fridge, I taped 3 lines where a grocery list might go. Paper beats pressure. Proof beats performance. Names beat noise. They looked almost too simple until I realized that's why they work. Vivian called it a simple family dinner to clear the air. It was the kind of invite that arrives through 3 relatives first, as if consensus could soften impact. We said yes, with conditions written in the reply, names correct, no estate talk, everything calm. I put our papers in a slim black folder, the boundary letter from Mr. Alvarez, the contact rules, the screenshot of the game plan, chat with timestamps big enough to read from across a table. Her dining room looked staged for a magazine. Linen runner. Polished forks, name cards, and loops of ink. Mine said Claire in letters large enough to be a headline. Progress or performance. We'd find out which. For 20 minutes, the evening tried to be normal. Breadbasket, weather, compliments that sounded like receipts. Vivian kept her smile set at a polite angle and used my name like a word she'd practiced in the mirror. When the plates were cleared, she reached for the steering wheel. I think we can agree emotions got the better of everyone, she said to the room, not to us. Traditions help families when things feel new. If we just keep things tasteful, we won't have these misunderstandings. I opened the black folder and slid 1 page into the center, the screenshot. 6 names at the top, Vivian's among them. Her lines circled in pen. Use Amanda's name. He retreats when he's embarrassed. The timestamp sat beside it like a porch light you can't unscrew. In 01 moved first. A cousin stared at the runner. Megan looked at her mother with a face that said she wanted 2 truths at once and could only hold one. Ryan rested his hand on the table, palm down, like a promise not to raise his voice. I didn't make a speech. I asked one question I had practiced in the car until it sounded like a full stop. Was this an accident or a plan? Vivian lifted her chin the way people do when they trust posture to do the talking. Family chats can be messy, she said. We vent. We tease. We don't need to litigate jokes. It wasn't a joke to me, I said. It was my name. Silence did the sorting for us. You could hear the refrigerator hum and a clock in the next room try to stay professional. Vivian glanced at the screenshot again, then chose the only path control has when it runs out of corridors. If we are going to dissect private conversations, she said, then perhaps we should reconsider what family gatherings look like. I won't be disrespected in my own home. I slid the contact rules forward, names correct, invitations without conditions, estate talk to counsel only, all sensitive matters in writing. Those are our terms for belonging, I said. If you can meet them, our door stays open. If you can't, we'll see you when you can. A chair scraped. An uncle coughed softly into his napkin. Megan reached across and turned the screenshot slightly, so her mother had to look at her own words head on. This wasn't heat of the moment, she said, quiet and even. This was practice. Vivian's expression flattened into something like grief wearing a hard hat. You're trying to cut me out, she said. First traditions, now family. We're cutting out tactics, Ryan said. You're invited back without them. The room exhaled in uneven breaths. I closed the folder and set it by my plate. We stayed long enough to thank the person who cooked, to carry dishes to the sink, to leave the table standing upright. Then we put on our coats while people tried to make their faces look like they hadn't chosen sides. On the porch, the air felt cleaner than inside. Ryan squeezed my hand. Behind us, the door clicked without a goodbye. A message arrived before we reached the car. Vivian's, short and sharp. If you insist on treating family like a contract, don't be surprised when the family acts accordingly. I didn't write back. I forwarded it to estate/counsel and added 1 line to our kitchen list when we got home. We don't trade names for seats. The house held those words like studs behind drywall. A week later, punishment arrived in BCC. Subject line: estate update and family expectations. Vivian sent it to half the family and to Ryan. Not to me, because erasing people is her favorite punctuation. The email read like a press release from a museum that never updates its exhibits. She had executed a codicil, reallocated certain provisions, and taken steps to protect tradition from dilution. Then came the hinge: recent choices, name theatrics. Non-traditional vows, leave me no option but to pause distributions to parties fostering division. No Claire, not even a pronoun. Just a shadow she could scold in public. An hour later came the second wave, a family-wide letter in gentler font, blaming outside influences for confusion and urging everyone to remember the values Amanda embodied. She wrote the wrong name in bold like a saint's title. Replies trickled in: 3 aunts with careful hearts, 2 cousins with question marks, 1 uncle who wrote, "This is going too far," and then deleted it before sending. Megan forwarded me the draft he didn't send. Silence isn't neutral. It's ballast, and tonight it leaned our way that we didn't argue with her inheritance microphone. We answered with 1 paragraph Ryan wrote and I co-signed. We won't negotiate our marriage through estate updates or group emails. Our names are Claire and Ryan. Invitations without conditions are welcome. All estate matters can be addressed by counsel. We'll reserve family time for love, not leverage. We sent it once. Posted nowhere, printed twice. Mr. Alvarez filed a short note in reply to the law firm, counsel. To counsel only, and CC'd us so the paper could remember what the room kept. Forgetting, then she tried the old hallway. Whisper in a digital coat. Ryan received a separate email. Know me on copy. Subject: between you and me. The body was the mask coming off with perfect diction. You married into a history, not the other way around. Your wife can learn or she can sit quiet. If she refuses, she won't be counted when I'm gone, and neither will you. You know what makes this family proud. You know her real name isn't the one she insists on. There it was without the satin: control as love, erasure as tradition, money as a leash. Ryan read it twice, then forwarded it to me and to Alvarez with no edits and the subject: for the record. I printed it, slipped it into patterns, and felt the strange relief of a truth that finally stops pretending. That night, we wrote the rules for all future contact on a single page and taped it inside our front closet where umbrellas go, because boundaries should be as reachable as rain gear. Names correct. Out loud, every time NO estate or money talk at gatherings. Invites without conditions. Or we sit this one out. All sensitive topics in writing. No side emails. That if Vivian can meet those, the door is open. If she can't, we'll keep our table small and honest. Before bed, I changed one thing in our photo album. Every image from the week gained a caption with our names in black ink. Not petty. Protective. Software obeys the labels you choose. So do rooms, eventually. When the house finally went still, I wrote 3 lines on a card and tucked it behind the fridge magnet that holds our grocery list. We don't borrow approval. We don't rent our names. We don't eat with ultimatums. The card didn't glow. It didn't need to. It just waited for the next time someone tried to talk to us like we were auditioning. Vivian called it a private reset. No cousins. No group chat. Just the 3 of us at a corner table where the lighting made everything look forgiving. She opened with pleasantries, then slid a folded note across the linen like a contract without a letterhead. Public apology from me for creating tension, a promise to honor family traditions, and 1 line that told on the whole evening. Going forward, use the traditional name at gatherings so older relatives feel comfortable. I read it twice so the moment couldn't pretend it hadn't happened. Traditional name was the ex's name with a ribbon. Ryan's chair went still. I put the note back in the center, unfolded, so the words could see air. We brought our own notes, I said, and placed our contact rules on top. Names correct. No estate talk is leverage. Invitations without conditions. Everything sensitive in writing. I set my phone on the table too. Voice memo open, the small red light steady. For clarity, I said, so no one has to remember differently. Vivian smiled the way people do when they think patience will move a mountain. No recordings, she said, soft. This is family. Exactly, Ryan said. That's why it should be accurate. For 10 careful minutes, she tried to reframe the demand as kindness. Older relatives are fragile. Habits are hard. No one meant harm. Then the veneer cracked. You married into a story, she said. voice low and precise. We already have a name for that part. It's easier for everyone if you answer to it. There it was, the quiet part with a microphone. Answer to it that I didn't raise my voice. I raised the line. My name is Claire, I said. It travels with me. Vivian's eyes moved to Ryan. You can fix this, she told him. It's one word. I won't be made a villain in my own family. Ryan tapped the paper with our rules like a metronome. It's not one word, he said. It's control. She reached for the old lever. I've already adjusted the estate to reflect reality. Don't make me finalize it. The threat sat there, heavy and small at the same time. I slid a second page into the light. The screenshot of her game plan, chat with the line about using the ex's name circled. This isn't habit, I said. It's practice. For a full beat, the restaurant noise carried on without us. Glasses, a laugh from another table, the clink of a spoon. Then Vivian did the last thing control does when it runs out of rooms. She chose exile over apology. If you insist on rewriting us, she said, we'll move on without you. Ryan closed the memo app and the conversation in the same motion. Then for now, he said, we won't be attending events where my wife is asked to vanish. We stood. The server brought the check to a table that wasn't eating anymore. Vivian kept her eyes on the folded note she'd written, as if it might sign itself if we gave it time. At the door, she called after us without turning her head. You're making a mistake. It sounded less like prophecy, more like muscle memory. Outside, the air had the clean honesty restaurants can't afford. Ryan took my hand and didn't let go until the car unlocked. In the quiet, the memo saved on my phone felt less like evidence and more like a compass. Pointing away from rooms that misspell loved, AKT home, we sent 2 emails that weren't threats. Just shapes. One to Mr. Alvarez attaching the recording and the traditional name note. One to a small circle of relatives with our rules and a sentence that fits on a place card. We're Claire and Ryan. We show up where names and boundaries are safe. The replies started to split the room in ways families don't like to admit. 2 cousins wrote, we hear you. One aunt wrote nothing and sent a cake emoji. Megan sent a heart and proud of you both. Vivian didn't write back. She never does when the paper is thicker than the tablecloth that we went to bed early. The house didn't feel triumphant. It felt aligned, like a door that finally closes all the way without forcing it. The first reply wasn't from Vivian. It was from a firm with a lobby name. Subject, family relations and expectations. The email used polite bricks to build a wall. Our client prefers all future interactions be mindful of tradition. Public apologies restore harmony. Noncompliance will affect estate considerations. No. Claire. No mention of the note she'd slid across the linen last night. The one asking me to be called by the exes. Name for older relatives. I didn't feed the wall. I forwarded it to Mr. Alvarez with 2 lines. Please respond. We'll route all future contact through you. He answered in the way calm wins. Acknowledged. All estate and sensitive correspondence must go counsel to counsel. Clients will not engage on these topics directly. He CC'd the firm and filed the recording and the traditional name note under exhibits. Paper doesn't raise its voice. It just stands up straighter. 30 minutes later, the family version landed. Vivian emailed cousins and aunts a cheerful rewrite of last night. Lovely dinner. No recordings, no drama. We agreed to keep names. Informal, so everyone felt comfortable. She turned our rules into demands, our corrections into outbursts, and our leaving into a sudden exit to avoid reconciliation. 2 hearts, 1 cake emoji. A row of ellipses from an uncle who never finishes a sentence. Megan pinged me separately. Give me an hour. When her message returned, it came with a file name that told on itself. Gameplan_final.png. Not a screenshot this time. A full export of the group where they'd rehearsed misnaming me. The new image showed an older thread I hadn't seen, a month before I even met half the family. If she insists on the new story, switch to estate talk. Ryan folds when money's in the room. Under it, Vivian. We use Amanda until it sticks. Timestamps like streetlights down a road they'd paved in advance. I printed it, slipped it into patterns, and felt something inside me stop bracing. This wasn't nerves or slips. It was choreography that we sent one family-wide note. Short, unshakable, posted nowhere else. We won't participate in events where misnaming or estate talk is used as leverage. Our names are Claire and Ryan. Invitations without conditions are welcome. Future estate topics go to council. We'll see those who can honor that. Then we did something that doesn't trend. We went quiet. We cooked a simple dinner. Labeled a photo Claire and Ryan, Tuesday, and let the room learn its temperature without other people's weather in it. The firm tried one more time before bedtime. Proposed path to reconciliation. A list that read like a receipt for our dignity. Public apology from me. Removal of new family, phrasing from our ceremony program in the album. A pledge to use legacy names in community settings. Mr. Alvarez replied with a single sentence that closed like a door. Requests that contradict identity or impose conditions on basic respect will be declined. Our clients will not attend discussions outside council. At 10:14 p.m., my phone flashed Megan again. This time a voice memo, breath quick. She's sending you something solo, she said. She wants no witnesses. We waited. At 10:31, Ryan received a message with a subject that tried to be tender. For my son only. Inside, the last mask, folded neatly. You know what your wife is doing to us. I can't stomach it. I've finished the codicil. If she won't be Amanda for public peace, then neither of you will be counted. You have until Sunday to make the right announcement. We read it on speaker, in a room with nobody else in it, and it still sounded crowded, with ghosts. With rules that were never ours, with a habit of confusing control for love. Ryan forwarded it to Alvarez with 2 words, for record. Then he typed the line that would become the spine of our final message, the one we'd send once, publicly, and never debate again. We will not trade respect for belonging. I wrote it by hand on a card and slid it under the magnet where grocery lists live. I wanted to see it in the same place I write milk and lemons, because boundaries work best where ordinary days can reach them, that we slept like people who knew part 10 wasn't about winning. It was about ending the performance without slamming the door, that we drafted it at the kitchen table with the same care you used to sign a lease. No flourishes, no memoir, just a spine. Mr. Alvarez reviewed the wording, trimmed the adjectives, and sent back a version that read like daylight, 18 noon. We posted it where rumors normally try to live. A single public note, comments closed. Pinned for anyone who needed the map were Claire and Ryan. We don't negotiate identity or love. Invitations without conditions are welcome. Estate matters go council to council. Misnaming and leverage in the conversation. We'll see family who can honor that .no hashtags. No screenshots. We didn't explain the past to the future. We just put the rules on a wall and walked away from the microphone. Predictably, the counter note arrived with a logo and italics. Vivian's counsel sent another codicil update, dressed like a museum plaque. Finalized reallocation, testamentary intent, disappointment, traditions maintained. It contained every word except the only 2 that mattered, Claire and respect. Ryan replied with the sentence we'd rehearsed until it clicked shut. We acknowledge receipt. We do not negotiate marriage through estate notices. Forwarded to Alvarez. Filed. Archived. Then came the message without letterhead. The one for my son only. Copied to no one. Sent at 6:03 p.m. so it could pretend to be private courage. You still have time to make an announcement that keeps peace. I won't be made the villain. There was no number attached to time, just a habit of counting people like assets. Ryan typed one line that finally put the floor back under us. If respect has terms, keep it. We turn off our phones. The house exhaled. Somewhere, a printer finished an update that could move money but not our table. That night we ate at the counter and labeled a new photo Claire and Ryan. We kept our names. In the album, nothing rattled. We didn't win a spectacle. We ended one. The door stayed unlocked for anyone who could read the sign and walk in using the right words. Some endings are quiet because the paper is doing the talking. Thank you for watching this story on True Tales Hub. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next story that we post new tales twice a day, and each one comes with unexpected twists you won't see coming.